The high desert. Unrelenting. Unforgiving. Deadly. And in January, piercingly cold. This is Navajo country, where wagon trains traverse this inhospitable land in search of a better life on the warm and lush coasts. Every man who has faced this environment has tested themselves, tested their bravery, tested their tolerances, tested their sanity. I'm here to do some testing too, but I'm here to test the new Range Rover. So, in supreme luxury and comfort, I'll be testing whether this can maintain its sanity in these conditions. Let's have a look.
And what this is a 2013 Range Rover Autobiography. Yes, Land Rover makes Range Rover, so officially this is a Land Rover Range Rover Autobiography, but that's just silly. So we will just call it the Range Rover Autobiography and be done with it. The Autobiography edition is the top-of-the-line model, and I will not be driving alone. I do have a co-driver. His name is Will Sabel Courtney, and he's with Rides Magazine.
And off we go.
Off we go into the Valley Blue yonder.
Oh my gosh, you are a tall guy. You're taller than me, which is rare. Not that rare. I'm only 6 foot. All right, 2013 Land Rover. 2013 Range Rover.
Navigation system. Yep.
Now, does this have the supercharged engine?
Yes, it does.
It does.
Yep. So that's 510 horsepower.
Not terrible. And by the way, Will is, what are you, 32? Let's guess, 31?
26.
26 years old.
I won't ask your age.
I am 29.
Okay.
So that's like,
It's good that I'm not older than you, because that would be awkward.
that would be awkward, especially with my looks. But it's not the years, it's the mileage. It's the
That is true. That is true.
This is a beautiful car. It's 130 grand-ish, which is a lot of money for an SUV.
But that's with the autobiography pack that adds on 30 grand in super nice days.
True. It's 100 grand for the supercharged and 90 grand or 87 or so for the unsupercharged. This is the top of the line. You get the top of the line.
Range Rover, sort of brings to mind like manors and estates and very British things like that.
It is much, well, but so does Land Rover. Well, Land Rover, no, it seems like a roving over the land.
Right.
This is roving over your range.
Right.
Which is a pretty Western thing to say, actually. Home
That
on
is,
the range.
yeah, I was just thinking that. Where the deer and the SUVs play.
But now, there are still Land Rovers.
This debate went on for some time, until we finally found ourselves climbing up out of the desert to where there were trees, and even some snow.
It is, but it's not the discovery. Right. Which is unfortunate.
We're now in a caravan, not a caravan, a wagon train of Range Rovers. So what else would you say about this particular car, or Range Rovers in general? Would you ever buy one? How much money would you have to be making in order to think, and for my truck/SUV, I'm going to buy a Range Rover?
To get into a Range Rover, full Range Rover, not Sport, not Evoque, just this model, I would say probably, if I was going to get into a Range Rover, I'd want to do an HSC minimum. Ideally supercharged, but I could probably live with the HSC. And then, so that starts at 85, so you're talking a $90,000, $95,000 vehicle. I would say probably if I was making $350,000 a year.
Now let me ask you this. Why would you choose a $90,000 Range Rover over, let's say, a $60,000 Suburban or a $50,000, what's the Toyota, that's the big Toyota?
The Sequoia?
Yeah, Sequoia.
First of all, I think the interior quality is a lot better.
True.
Second of all, I like the brand.
I do too.
Not just in terms of the name, but I think
There is that.
they stand for something.
Yeah. That actually counts for a lot, and they are putting the money and time into making
Yes.
sure that is important to everybody. So, and that's important. I think they've done a good job with that.
And I think it looks great, honestly. I think the new styling is, at first I was like, oh, it just looks like an Explorer. But now I've really come around to it.
I posted a picture of this exact car. No, the white one that was outside last night. And the first response I got was, "Oh, is that a Flex?
Yeah.
Ford Flex?" I said, "No." And Land Rover would be very upset with you for saying so. But it was, I do like this, though. I must say, this is a great car.
I mean, I think it would be... I would definitely consider it if I had that kind of money, especially if it was like, you know, you live in the city or around the city, and, you know, I could drive up to Vermont a lot.
You go to the country house on this.
Yeah. So, for that kind of drive, it'd be nice to have. But at the same time, I've made that drive in a lot of different cars in all kinds of weather, and it has never really been a problem. So I think a lot of it, you know, half of the sales of SUV is 90% mental.
This car.
Yeah. That was unexpected.
Where's that coming from?
It's coming from the sides.
Does he have? Think that scraper had a radar?
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Deep undercover.
Exactly. Chased down by one of those 6-wheel scrapers. So you're saying you do know that is a market for
Yes.
people in the city, for example, who have one car, and if you're going to have one, and you have the money to get a good car,
Right.
But you might as well get a universal car that has space, room, can do all-wheel drive.
Yes.
This is actually an excellent choice for that.
Yeah.
This is a very cool area. These are actually lovely trees.
I wonder if there are mountain lions here. I bet there are.
I'll bet there are too. I'm sure there are. I should comment just here, because I don't know if we can see out the back with this camera. I think you can. That we have traveled from very dry, smooth roads into a wooded snow and ice roads, and I felt no difference. There's a little, see, you can feel it, just a little, little shifty here, a little, but nothing. This car is handling it beautifully. Now, on a panoramic roof, I think is a wonderful thing, and just very nice to have.
I always worry about how much it's, you know, affecting the structural integrity of the car.
Yeah.
Like, it's less of a problem, obviously, in a Range Rover where you're not really pushing it on the track, and that's not going to be a big concern, but still, it crosses my mind.
Torsional rigidity is a weird thing, and this does. I guess that is not. I don't think that's.
That feels like metal under there.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
So you think that's integral to the structure?
I think
was
so.
going to say it's just an aesthetic piece. Maybe it is. But nonetheless, yeah, this is not going to. It'll twist a little bit more. But on the other hand, maybe you want that in an off-road capability to have a little bit of flex to allow you to bang it around a little bit. Because if you don't have that flex, right, you're bouncing off-road, it would be a bad thing. All right, well, what would you say is a fault? Have you found any faults? This is ice, right?
Yeah. Faults.
I have a couple. I don't want to nitpick, but
Right.
small things.
I feel like that's part of the problem, is that when you have a car that's clearly been, I mean, this is Land Rover's icon. This is their, you know, range topper. This is their flagship vehicle.
Yep.
So I almost feel like they spent so much time on it. It's like, there's part of me that always feels like, is it really a complaint, or am I just nitpicking at this point?
Well,
Honestly, I think the infotainment system is a little outdated. Like, it's the same one I had in the Range Rover Sport that I had last year, and it's like, it's laggy, it's a little slow. You know,
agreed.
it really could use a boost.
Agreed. But this does not have the high-end stereo, although I think the TFT display is exactly the same.
Yes.
This windscreen's a heated windscreen, and actually the elements are microscopically thin, but you see them if you look for them, and it's like looking through Venetian blinds a little bit. That's complaining way too much, but it is distracting when you have contrast. The road to the sky, you can just see it in the sky.
And just every now and again it pops out.
Yeah, it pops out if you're looking. That's a weird thing. However, I'd rather have the heated windshield and have that, and not have than not have a heated windshield and not have that.
Yeah.
So this thing must light up, must heat up and just melt the ice within seconds. Look at all that.
I know.
That's amazing. Now, the one thing I would say on sort of faults is the outlets. I think everybody has to have a regular outlet these days. I'm very surprised at that.
Yeah.
It's not hard to do, and the car electrical systems can do it now easily.
Right. For me, that's not as big of a thing, because as long as it has a USB plug that I can plug my phone into, and as long as it's got at least one or two 12 volts. Like, I mean, what are you really looking to have a 110 volt outlet in the car for? What do you use it for?
Computer, if you're in the back and you're working.
But everyone, if you have a computer these days, you've got a laptop that probably has a 5 or 6 hour battery. I'm not saying that
Agreed.
you might need to recharge at some point, but I guess in my head, my thought is we need the power outlets and all the seats on the airplane first,
Yeah.
then we can go to cars.
But it's so easy to do.
It is. No.
And here's the top of the line Range Rover, and you'd think that would be a no-brainer. That's just like, boom, one here and one there, and that's all you have to do.
Maybe
It's
there's
an
one
odd
person
omission,
saying it.
and I'm actually wondering whether or not I'm just completely wrong and they are there and I'm just not seeing them, which is a very good possibility.
Yeah. Media. Power plug.
Outlet.
It turns out I was right. There are no 110 volt outlets. I asked the electrical engineer for the Range Rover project why, and he said, well, for customer satisfaction purposes. It could not draw enough power to satisfy all the 110 volt needs. To which I asked, like what? Like personal massage implements? To which he said no, things like chainsaws and generators. Anyways, no matter. It was time to switch cars, switch drivers, and pick up Jim West, our professional off-road instructor,
But, I
in
mean,
part 2.
Will left